The 2015 season is officially done for, so let's waste no time whatsoever and talk way too early 2016 top 10. Ryan, who's your number one team?
This is going to come as a shock to you. A team you probably haven't paid attention to much lately. Clemson Tigers.
Yeah, okay.
Deshaun Watson back.
Big.
Mike Williams back. Deion Kane back. Just the offensive skill talent is going to be so good for this team.
Yes.
They lose a lot on defense.
Yeah.
That was true this past year as well. I do think they are going to be challenged by an increasingly difficult ACC. Florida State, as we're going to talk about, looks like it's going to be strong. But even the schools like Pitt is making a nice little turnaround under Pat Narduzzi. NC State keeps looking like it might turn the corner. Georgia Tech can't be as bad as it was last year. But I still think Clemson, coming into the season at least, has earned that number one spot.
Yeah, number two, I'm going to go Bama. They lose a ton on defense, but another school that...
We are so adventurous
If you can,
here.
I know, if we can count on a school to replace and rebuild and reload on defense, it's Alabama.
Yep.
They're probably, it looks like they're going to start a redshirt freshman at quarterback in Blake Barnett, but he's going to be surrounded by a lot of skill talent, even without Derrick Henry. The line loses a little bit, obviously, once again, but again, you have to count on that depth. And the schedule's not great. They open the season with USC, but all in all, Bama's Bama.
Yeah, Alabama loses star running back is one of the smallest worries in the world, basically.
Who's number three?
I'm going to go with, we'll stay with the playoff teams.
Okay.
This one's Oklahoma.
Yeah.
This is partially, again, because they returned some of their primary offensive talent. Baker Mayfield is going to get another year in the system. Samaje Perine, even though he's going to be out for spring practice.
And Joe Mixon.
Yes. The schedule is pretty tough, especially early on. They have a neutral site game against Houston. They host Ohio State. But they do get Baylor and Oklahoma State at home later in the year.
Yes.
And I just think what Lincoln Riley did as the season went on, I'm excited to see what he can do to build on that sort of first effort with the Sooners.
All right, we're going to go with I'll call it almost playoff team, a playoff team from 2014, Florida State at number 4. They were so complete this season, even though they obviously didn't reach the heights that they had with Jameis Winston. They lose a little bit on defense at multiple layers. At linebacker, Jalen Ramsey, one of the best playmakers in the country as a defensive back, but offensively, the offensive line should be very good. Dalvin Cook is back, which never hurts. The receiving core is still deep. So there's a lot to like about Florida State. They get Clemson at home, Ole Miss sort of at home. They play at the Citrus Bowl, and they finish the season at home against Florida. So things are looking pretty up and up for Florida State if they can figure out the quarterback situation. Could be McGuire, could be a big redshirt freshman in DeAndre Francois, could be a big true freshman in Malik Henry. I'm not worried about Florida State as a top 10
And
team.
considering the success they've had in the last 2 years, pretty stable staff-wise,
with new
which
quarterbacks
is really nice.
as well.
Yeah.
Also true. All right, who's next?
Let's go with Notre Dame.
Yeah.
This is a team that obviously was just banged up all year long, but that obviously helps you going forward in that you know you have guys who have game experience. You built depth sort of inadvertently.
Yeah.
The schedule also sets up for them fairly well, I think.
Surely they have many, many tough road games.
They have 3 true road games, and they are spaced out as about perfectly throughout the year. There's the Texas. They start with Texas on the road. They close with USC on the road, and then they play NC State in the middle of the season. Other than that, it's all home games or weird neutral site games, like playing Army in the Alamo Dome.
Right.
You know, because that's a thing we do.
That totally makes sense. A team that plays in upstate New York. Let's go next to the team that actually beat Notre Dame kind of soundly in their bowl game.
I haven't heard anything about this.
So Ohio State is a school in Columbus.
Okay.
It's pretty large. It's well known to some.
Sure.
Ohio State art school. They lose everybody pretty
Yes.
much, but not everybody. JT Barrett has a stranglehold on the position. So that's at least something that they don't have to worry about going into the season. But they're rebuilding their offensive line. The skill talent on offense is very nice. Defensively, they welcome in Greg Schiano to run the defense, losing Chris Ash. I'm just going to go right over. I'm going to go right over. I'm going to go right over.
Sure.
They lose perhaps the best player in the country in Joey Bosa. So all over the field, they're replacing, but they've recruited so well that it's one of those things where their schedule's tough because they go to Oklahoma.
Yeah,
they have I believe,
Wisconsin and Nebraska cross division.
Right, and they have Michigan State on the road. They have Penn State on the road, which I'm not terribly worried about, but Michigan State the week before Michigan, albeit at home. It's not ideal as for repeating or getting back to the playoff, but they should still be stacked.
That's fair.
Next.
We'll stick with their rival, the Michigan Wolverines.
Yeah.
They lose Jake Rudock, which is a much bigger loss than we probably thought it was at the start of last year. But other than that, the offensive skill positions, their leading receivers, Devian Smith is coming back. Jake Butt. We're getting another year of Butt.
Gotta love that Butt.
So I just think Michigan showed such an impressive turnaround in 1 year under Jim Harbaugh. The second seems like it's going to be even better for them. And they have earned at least some of the credit that maybe they were just handed out in earlier seasons. This is a dangerous Michigan team.
And they lose a huge coach on defense and replace him with another very, very highly respected coach. Next up, Tennessee, or as we're gonna call them, your definite off-season paper division champion.
Yes, this is the SEC East year for Tennessee. One of them has to be.
One of them has to be. They return pretty much everybody of note. They make a big upgrade at defensive coordinator, bringing in Penn State's coordinator, Bob Shoop. Josh Dobbs should be better and take another step forward. And Jalen Hurd is back. So if Josh Dobbs can get better, because he certainly had some down games, but the SEC East, with Florida not returning Will Grier and losing as much as they do on defense, with Georgia bringing in a new coach who, for the short term, should be a downgrade from Mark Richt, Tennessee's in a very good place to win this division. And you win a division in the SEC, there's a good shot you're finishing around the top 10. There's every reason to believe months ahead of the season that it's
They
Tennessee's
still have to play
year.
Alabama every year.
Right, they still play Alabama.
It is the most unpleasant rivalry that you have to play every year.
Not the best. Who's next?
Tennessee. We'll go with LSU. It feels weird sort of talking about it. I mean, we're basically having the same conversation about LSU.
Every year.
They have established running back talent. They have a ton of talent on defense. They have wide receivers who can catch the ball.
True.
They do. I mean, it should be stated that Dave Aranda is a pretty nice little grab for them. That was very unexpected.
Little grab, a lot of money.
A lot of money. But they still have, I mean, the questions are still the same.
Yeah.
Can they get consistent quarterback play, especially in the big games?
Right.
Can the offense do anything imaginative, or is it just going to be Leonard Fournette, Leonard Fournette, Leonard Fournette? And can they win the games that matter? I mean, LSU is always on paper looks like, they're going to give the other top 10 teams a game.
Right.
And it's kind of a coin flip as to whether or not they do. And maybe this is the year they turn around, but I mean, Les Miles already proved he's invincible in Baton Rouge. So what's the incentive?
All right, and our final team, Stanford Cardinal. Another one of those teams where they lose so much, but how do you bet against Stanford? They've been in 5 of 6 years to whatever, not BCS, but New Year's Six / BCS bowl games between the Fiesta and the Orange and the Rose. Christian McCaffrey, the most versatile player in the country, is back. He'll be behind a relatively new offensive line. Do not bet against Stanford offensive line recruiting. There'll be a new quarterback, perhaps Keller Christ. Defensively, they lose a bunch of big names, but again, it's Stanford. And they might start the season a little bit slowly, hopefully in a better fashion than they did in 2015, but it's difficult with Oregon rebuilding like they are, and they do go to Eugene. It's not an ideal schedule for Stanford, but it's fine. Stanford is in a very nice position with David Shaw and the continuation of that the coaching staff to make another run into a New Year's Day game.
Pac-12 North is going to be a dogfight.
Yeah, it is.
This year. Washington looks like they'll be better. Washington State is a team people are going to be watching out for. Cal has shown flashes
new
of
quarterback,
talent.
but yes.
Yeah, that's going to be, I mean, other than Oregon State, probably. Sorry.
They'll improve too. That is our top 10. Let us know who is your official way too early top 10. We'll keep it going in the comments. See you soon.
Tell us how wrong we are.